This is your host, Laura Winters, the heart-led pathfinder, intuitive energy healer, speech-language pathologist, and owner of Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness, LLC. Welcome to Miracle in Time, a mini-series podcast that brings you the stories of beautiful humans exploring the synchronicities, blessings, and miracles within our perception of time. It illustrates that events are not just happening to us, but for us. Life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but it is a miracle in time. As a disclaimer, this podcast contains general information about various topics and medical conditions and is for educational purposes and inspiration only. Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness LLC is not responsible or liable for the accuracy of information contained in this podcast. The information contained in this episode is the personal views of the host and guests respectively. This podcast is not meant to replace the advice of your healthcare provider and is not intended to prescribe, prevent, treat, or diagnose disease. You assume all risks when you continue this episode. So in part 2 of the Thriving Dry Eye podcast and my story, I go through a ton of information on my healing journey. Now, as I was re-listening to this, I realized that some of this stuff is definitely a little out of date for me. So I will update that in the third part of my story, which you will likely get at the end of this series. So I hope you enjoyed this miracle in time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thriving Dry Eye podcast. I am excited to have you back to hear the second part of my story. We left off with the realization that traditional medicine was not going to help me. I had to dig deep, I had to do more work, and I had to find resilience to keep moving forward. So that led me to functional medicine. At this point, the only real consistent change I had made was using a high-quality fish oil in high doses daily. The dry eye specialist was not confident that my dry eye was directly from my injury. I knew it wasn't present before, but for him, I fit the bill. Dry eye is most prevalent in middle-aged females, and I was a long-time contact lens wearer. I actually started wearing contacts when I was in the 4th grade. That was a long time ago. So I needed to make sure that the root of my problem wasn't something that had been there all along. I made an appointment with a functional medicine doctor, and I filled out a lot of paperwork. I wrote down what I was eating the week before, and on the day of my appointment, I had all my notes ready to go. The appointment was interesting. I remember her looking at my food log and stated, "You really like your carbs?" By that point, my diet was a lot of vegetables, meat, and a starch here and there like pasta, rice, or bread, but nothing I thought was excessive. It kind of hurt my feelings, but I just needed to give it a try. I was doing my daily green smoothie, the one recommended from the Dry Eye Boot Camp, and drinking lots of purified water. I'm going to emphasize how important purified water is. There are so many things in your water. If you do anything for yourself, then buy a good water filter. I have a Berkey, but they also have reverse osmosis or whole home filters. Anywho, so back to the appointment. So a couple things I remember us deciding were no gluten, no dairy, a probiotic, and stool testing. I found an email from back then talking about how the probiotics started clearing my acne. My gut health wasn't great, but I didn't know that then. I was also having joint pain in my knees and fingers upon waking. Going gluten and dairy-free significantly helped me with my joint pain. If I cheated or accidentally had something with gluten, my joints would hurt the next morning. It was so obvious that it was a problem. Changing your diet is not easy at all, but I had a purpose. I desperately needed change. Because I was desperate, I was all for drastic changes. I was cooking meals separately from my family or adding certain side dishes. I was constantly telling my husband, I can't eat that. He was clearly frustrated, but didn't try to voice his disdain too much. I was on a mission for healing, and although it's easy for your mind to tell you it's not working or come on, just eat what you want, it was all for good reason, and I just had to keep pushing through. Sometimes, even today, the few things I think about are a slice of Costco pizza and a Big Mac. A Big Mac with extra sauce, and I would dip the fries in the sauce that dripped out from the burger. I've talked to some people who are not a fan of eliminating whole groups of food. In hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have, because now I have pretty severe reactions when I do have gluten. The last time I wasn't thinking when I ordered an item, and even though I only took a few bites, 15 minutes later, I was running to the toilet and completely blew it up. Earlier in the year, I thought maybe a piece of sourdough would be okay because the fermentation process eliminates most of the gluten. Nope. I was paying for that for almost 2 months. What it really tells me is I have more gut healing to do. I've come so far, but not far enough. Going back to that time, slowly, very slowly, I started noticing a difference in my eyes, but it still wasn't great. I would wake up in the morning with them really dry. They would get better as the day progressed, and then the next morning it would start all over. I did a really crazy thing in the middle of all of this. I couldn't get an eye doctor to prescribe autologous serum drops because I wasn't that bad. My dogs, who are French bulldogs, had multiple corneal ulcers, and the thing that seemed to help them the most was the autologous serum. I knew it would help if I could get my hands on some. I even thought about paying a nurse to draw my own blood, begging the vet tech to spin it, but it was too complicated. So I found a research article that talked about finger prick autologous blood. It was just a theory, but hey, I was feeling desperate and it truly couldn't hurt anything. So I went out and bought a lancing device and lancets. I went in before bed, washed my hands, used an alcohol pad to clean my fingers, pricked my finger, let the blood come out, put it up to my eye, squeeze more out into the other eye. I would do this morning and night. Now this made a difference. I wasn't waking up with as dry an eye. I remember looking into the mirror after I placed the blood in my white eyes and there was a ring of red. I felt like I was in a scary movie. I closed my eyes again and hoped that the goodness from the blood was healing all the parts of my eyes. I also was irritated that I was brought to this. I just needed someone to listen to me and follow my lead that I knew what was going to help me to get better. I realize I'm not an eye specialist, but something that was made from my own blood, the autologous serum drops, that made sense. I wanted to heal myself with my own body. My body can heal when given the right tools. My body was made with all the things it needs for healing, and making eye drops from my own blood, it was a no-brainer. But because that was not an option, my own blood would have to do. I was thankful that I was finding things that were helping me, as crazy as they looked or sounded. I continued the diet changes and was feeling better overall. I started getting out of my comfort zone and making a difference in my community for medical freedom. In our group, I met a functional health coach. We had many group outings, and one day I picked her brain about what she did. Well, it was a little hard to explain, but like the functional medicine doctor, she worked to get to the root cause, but also focused a lot on emotions and trauma. I had been in talk therapy for years on and off. That year, I made a conscious effort to talk with my psychologist once a month, if I was good or bad. I used to go 4 or 6 months without needing help, but I wanted to make a huge change over 2021. After 6 months of this, I was hitting a wall, and I knew there was deeper work that needed to be done, but I didn't know what that was. So I was on to the next provider. Mind you, none of these things are covered by insurance. At some point, if you go an alternative route, you'll learn that if you want something to work, you have to pay for it yourself. I'm to a point that almost everyone I see, I pay out of pocket. Health savings accounts are really helpful for these costs. My first appointment with a functional health coach was interesting, to say the least. I didn't mention this, but at the beginning of the year, I ate a bad piece of fish and had loose stools for about 6 months. If you do go the holistic alternative route, you get really comfortable talking about your poop. Anyways, so back to the story. She took a very extensive history that I filled out and sent ahead of time. So we took a little time to go into detail about that. Then I laid on her table and she played some sounds, did a scan that brought up emotions, and worked on my body. She focused a lot on my belly, and at the end she said, "You will have solid stools tomorrow." I said, "Yeah, right. Okay." The next morning, I'm shitting you not, I had solid stool. Gotta be a fluke, right? I waited a whole 7 days of solid stool before I emailed her and said, "So my poop is solid. I don't know how you did it, but we better keep doing more work." The second session, we focused on my eyes. She put her hands on each eye, and all of a sudden, she started gasping for air. She couldn't breathe. I was like, "Are you okay?" She was like, "Yeah, but I feel like I couldn't catch my breath." I definitely was confused. She said there was a lot of trauma built up in my eyes, and she helped to release it. After her work, my eyes went from a pain and dryness level of 8 down to a 2. It was a miracle, really. They felt light, airy, free of pain, free of scratchiness. I had no idea how much trauma and emotions could cause physical pain. It makes sense though, right? Trauma and stress cause tightness, overworking, too much, and then there is pain and feeling discontent. I finally felt free. I still was taking fish oil, but then I didn't have to take it so much. I still had dry eye, but my symptoms were so much less, and I was so grateful. It seemed like the worst they could get was a pain or dryness level of 4. The events from the session were perplexing to me, and I kept going over, why could she not breathe? Then one day it hit me. Remember my story when the water was coming out like a fire hose and I was Chris Farley there being hosed down at the gas station? Okay. In that moment, I couldn't breathe. The water was streaming down my face so fast, over my eyes, nose, and mouth. I was gasping for air. I'd bring my head away from the water to finally catch my breath and then put my face back into the heavy stream of water. That is what she felt. I couldn't believe it. How could she have known that? So I wanted to dig deeper. I was still working on my gut health, still free of gluten and dairy, and I wanted to do more. So I asked my functional health coach that really became my friend, what could I do to uplevel my healing? And that led me to red light therapy. I actually loved this thing, not only for my eyes, but for my face, aches and pains, and healing, not just for me, but for my dogs. When things were really bad, I would wake up with a red ring around my eyes, and in a couple minutes, the red light made all that dryness dissipate. In addition, the red light has seemed to help my vision. My prescription has decreased in both eyes, and I hope someday that I can heal my eyes so that I do not have to wear glasses anymore. That definitely is not something conventional medicine teaches about, but others have healed their eyes, so if they can do it, why can't I? Next, toxins and chemicals. They are everywhere. It's pretty amazing how many toxic things we subject ourselves to in a day. We start the morning and brush our teeth with toxins. We wash our face and body with toxins. We breathe fragrant air fresheners that are toxins. We drink moldy coffee. We eat food with pesticides. We drink water with chemicals. We cook with pots and pans that leach toxins. We use cups and plates that leach toxins. We make up our face with chemicals. We sunscreen our body with chemicals. We diaper our babies with chemicals. We sanitize our hands with toxins. I won't go on, but there is so much in our daily lives that can wreak havoc on our bodies. You say, well, it's not that much, but constantly, day after day after day, it is going to catch up with you, whether or not you're aware of it. So the first thing I did was prioritize clean water. Like I said before, I bought a Berkey. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. Later on, I ended up buying different water filters that included a filter to eliminate fluoride. And against popular opinion, fluoride is a toxin. In my episode with Trina, we talked about adding in trace minerals to the water. When you filter out the water, you may not only eliminate the bad, but some of the good. Prioritizing hydration through clean and mineralized water will be very helpful to your eyes. On days where I do not get enough water, I feel it, not only in my sluggish feel overall, but especially in my eyes. Next is clean air. Do you know that the air in your home is more toxic than the outdoors? That is especially true if you are using fragrances to make it smell good. I eliminated all the good smelling candles, which my husband did not like because he is a huge candle guy. And occasionally we use an essential oil diffuser to get that good smell in the home. An air purifier was an absolute game changer. It is wild the amount of junk that is in your air. I opted for the Air Doctor and I absolutely love it. If you decide on an air doctor, then be sure to find an influencer to get a code. There is no reason anyone should have to pay full price for an air doctor. My husband has suffered from allergies for a very long time and was a total mouth breather. We put the air doctor in our room at night, and now he breathes through his nose. It's a pretty dramatic change. I am so thankful that I know the air we breathe is clean. Then clean food. I know we discussed eliminating gluten and dairy in my case, but I also want to discuss food just a bit. There's a lot of crap food out there. I don't know a ton about all the ingredients in processed food, but I do know some that I try to avoid as much as possible. Seed oils including canola oil, sunflower seed oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil, cottonseed oil. I cook with avocado oil and use olive oil for cold or warm foods. I also use grass-fed butter. Yeah, I know. We've been told fats are bad for you, but there are definitely good and bad fats. It's funny when the don't eat fats thing came about, I refused to buy fat-free items. They tasted like shit, and I knew that because there wasn't fat, they had to be substituting the fat with something else. And I figured that something else couldn't be good for you. Healthy fats are so good for you. So I eat my grass-fed butter and douse on the olive oil in my salads. I cook bacon and I keep the bacon grease for cooking or putting on my toast. Yeah, I know, wildlife here. Anywho, the point is that quality is so important. I also avoid high fructose corn syrup like the plague and try to avoid food dyes. These two items can mess with your system so badly. My son is so sensitive to both of these, so sensitive. I know it, I see it, I try to avoid it, but sometimes we can't. It's okay. He will be okay. But for those moments when it hits him, it's not good for anyone. So oil, sugar, dyes. Now back to quality food. I try to buy organic as much as I can. Organic means no high fructose corn syrup, no glyphosate, no artificial dyes and colors, no artificial preservatives or flavors, and no GMOs. Are all organic foods good for you? No. If there is a ton of sugar in it, it's still not good for you. I do try to buy organic berries and other fruits and vegetables that I cannot clean the skin really good. But with a household of 5, I'm already spending a lot of money on food, and going full organic is just not possible. So I pick and choose the best I can. All you can do is the best you can, but small changes over time can truly add up to healing, because conversely, the small changes you don't make can also add up to illness and disease. Next, sleep. Sleep is so important. Sleep has been my main priority for most of my life. I don't nap during the day or sleep my life away, but when it's time for bed, it's time for bed. I know what it feels like to be a complete zombie during the postpartum season, and wow, is it awful. I always tell new moms, if you can get to this 6-hour of sleep mark, you feel like a completely new person. When I was right after the injury, I hardly slept. I was looking online and reading constantly, trying to find the cure or the thing that would make me better. What it did was drain me, literally, and fed my anxiety. When I was able to put that aside and sleep, my anxiety reduced greatly. When I was pregnant with my third, I had a lot of pelvic pain. Next came Healthy Line and their Taj mat. I purchased the small, and it's amazing. It's made of crystals, tourmaline, jade, and amethyst. It has heat for hot stone therapy, far infrared therapy, negative ion therapy, PEMF therapy, and photon light therapy. This thing made a significant difference in my sleep. You can't use the PEMF while you're pregnant, so I didn't use it. But that photon light, bam, right to sleep. Postpartum with number 1 and 2, I would get back to bed and toss and turn. Number 3, photon light, bam, right to sleep. I use it every single night, and while it's not exactly soft, honestly, you're sleeping on a bed of crystals, and I don't like to use the cover because I want to get it full force. I still sleep like a rock. Sleep fuels you for each day and helps your body to regulate your systems. You need sleep in order to function properly. If you get crap sleep, please do something about it. I did try melatonin at one point to help me sleep, and the result was extremely dry eyes. So forget that. Taj mat it is. Other changes that occurred. Job. Now I was starting my day with my best foot or eye forward. I had left my job where I sustained my injury in the fall of 2020 and moved on to another job that I loved. For this job, I was in my car most of the day, driving from one house to another. The AC and heat does bother my eyes, and so I have to make sure nothing is directly on me. And sometimes I need to be really hot or really cold if I need to turn off the air. But it's a small price to pay for a job that I love, and I'm managing my dryness pretty well. Also, even if you think you love a job, aka my last job, if your body is anxious, guess what? You probably don't love the job as much as you think. I truly believe I love my previous job, even with the frustrations of every day before my injury. But now that I have an amazing job and work for an even better company, wow, was I stressed and I didn't even know it, but my body did. Friends. It's funny how COVID changed the world completely. With my eye injury, COVID, I literally was someone different. I had the same friends since grade school because that's where I was most comfortable. Those are the people who knew me inside and out, but when you change, they don't know you anymore. I found that the conversations fell short for not just me, but them too. It was really hard at the time, but now I'm thankful for everything we had, and I'm okay that we have parted ways. I wish they could love and appreciate me for the new me, and maybe they do, but maybe they don't, and that's okay too. I jumped out of my comfort zone during COVID and became an ambassador for a community called Freedom Keepers. I honestly didn't know a lick about the organization except that I did not agree with the state of the country and the world. So, in order to find my people, I needed to assist the grouping in my community. It was extremely fulfilling and took a lot of work. This helped me to not think about my eyes so much. Through this organization, I found a new group of friends. They were bold, way healthier than I had ever been, crunchy, as they now say, and man, they taught me so much. I don't think I would be where I am today without them. Such is life. There are people you won't be friends with forever, for whatever reason, and that's okay. People come in your life at specific times they are needed and leave when it's time to move on. I have never needed a large group of friends to be happy, but I do appreciate the few that fill my cup, and I hope I do the same for them. When I was in college, I had a hard time making friends because they didn't just know me like my old friends did. I've always been searching for those people who could really know me for who I am. Just the other day, I was reflecting on why it was so difficult to create new friendships throughout my life, and it hit me. I never really knew myself. Throughout this process, what I realized was that my best friend has been with me all along. My husband, who I have known since I was 15. I have always been looking externally for a person who I could call and spill my guts out, cry, yell, laugh. Unfortunately, for a long time, due to the long history and some trauma we have endured, I was always afraid to let my husband be that person. It's taken a lot of work, but I'm thankful that I'm there now. He's my best friend, and whenever I need to cry, yell, laugh, and spill my guts out, he's there. It may make him uncomfortable. He may not know what to say, but that's okay. He knows me more than anyone else, always has and always will. He is my best friend, and it has taken this journey to get me there. He told me that he is going to be on the podcast one day as a guest. Quote, spouse of a person with dry eye, unquote. So watch out for that someday. I honestly am a little scared of what he will say. Spiritual. This health journey pushed me on a spiritual journey that didn't really start until last year. I truly don't want to lose you here, so I'm going to keep it short. Maybe another episode I will go into more detail, but I promise it will be worth hearing. The short story is that through my work, I had 3 interactions with patients who had profound spiritual gifts and occurrences. They all happened during the same time, and I knew something was going on. Why me? Well, now I know. I needed to arm myself with more knowledge. So I took Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 courses for attunements. They say your spiritual abilities are opened or magnified with each attunement. Do you know we all have psychic senses? Well, I didn't. But that bad feeling that you get when you meet someone new, that's one. We all have intuition, and it's truly a gift, but you need to trust yourself. Anyways, so after the Reiki attunements, I worked on my family daily and myself. I started noticing changes to all of us, more calm, less anxiety, less aches and pains. I realized that this was not just a fun thing to do, but it is life-changing. I was making small changes myself, but I knew there was more. I met remotely with an intuitive healer, and that's where the deep work began. We've only been working together for a few months, but do you have those weird stories that play out in your head that you know have never happened to you, so why in the world do you keep thinking that? Yep, those are gone. My relationship with my husband is better than it's ever been. I'm putting myself and him first, and then the kids can be happy because we are. Silly, I know. Psychotherapy. Well, yeah, I did that for years and years. It was something deeper. After the Reiki attunements, I had so many questions. The intuitive healer and coach I was working with told me basically, I know you're using Reiki, but you have direct connection with Source. Huh? I promise I don't want to lose you. Keep listening. Source is God, the universe, a higher power, spirit. You know, people who pray, even God-fearing religious people, believe they have a direct line to the big man. But I'm not sure I ever believed that. So through all of this, I realized that I have been given an amazing gift, and using that gift is my purpose. I've always felt that there was something bigger for me to do, way bigger, which is one of the reasons I started this podcast. Get this big, amazing thing going, and I would fulfill that purpose. And while it does completely satisfy my creativity, it is not my purpose. Healing is my purpose. It may sound silly to you. It honestly did to me too, but I know it is. I'm not searching anymore for the big reason I'm here. This, I know, is why I was injured. The path that I was on was not the path I was meant to be. And when we aren't paying attention, God, the universe, whoever will wake us up, and it's not always pretty. So I will keep working and honing my skills, keep learning, and keep practicing. I will fulfill my purpose because this is why I am here. I don't know where else this will lead me, but I'm so ready for it. Now, while that maybe wasn't short, that was just a snippet. Next, dodging some bullets. When I say this event and journey changed me, I mean it literally changed me. I was one who always played by society's rules. That's what we are supposed to do. That's what makes us good and others bad. I was the good girl, always. My eye injury and COVID changed me to be bad. First, we can talk about the word that can't be said, that Voldemort word. I'm not sure how it is around the world, but that Voldemort word will get you a ticket to banishment. I changed my hard stance on that issue, and with that, 3 bullets were dodged. My family and I don't have to worry about unexplainably dropping dead. I seriously thank God for this often. My emotional heart would not have been able to take the regret, and for that, I am extremely grateful. Bullet number 2. My son was having reaction after reaction, and I looked back at his medical chart and messages to his provider, and it was all right there. If we kept going, it would have changed him. The 3rd bullet was for my daughter. I know in my heart that this event was to save her. If I had led her down the path we took before, I can wholeheartedly say that she may not be here. My friend said it best when she saw her in person for the first time since she was a teeny tiny baby. She said, "Laura, there is something magical about her." If I had a nickel for every person who has commented on her beauty, I would be a literal millionaire. I thank God every day for her because she is a gift, not just to me, but for all the people of the world. No pressure, right? And finally, the 4th bullet was for my husband. For as long as I can remember, he had wanted LASIK eye surgery. I saw a news story years ago of a newscaster who had LASIK and was in such debilitating pain that she took her own life just weeks after. I was shook. That wouldn't be me, I remember saying, and I hope and pray that will never be him. So even when I started this podcast, he still had it in his mind that LASIK would be the only option for better vision. After my episode with Ross, he changed. He knew, and that was the final sign. LASIK was not for him. He's been silently grieving that dream. But there's a reason he didn't pop on the procedure at times early on when I was like, well, if you want it, just get it done. So there, 4 bullets dodged. I kept asking why this happened. Why me? And when the clarity arose over time, it was so clear, crystal clear. They say a mother would jump in front of a bullet to save their children, and it's true. I took a proverbial bullet for my family, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. So what hasn't changed? I love my family so much. I've been a real hard, tough love kind of person, and I'm slowly softening, but I seem to still hold them to the high standard I hold myself. I wish the best for them at all times. My dogs hold a very special place in my heart, and they really know how to bring the mama bear out in me. I've learned so much from their illnesses throughout the years, and honestly, their eye problems have helped me to have a better understanding of my eyes. I truly care about people very much. Everything I do in my work and at other parts of the day is to help those around me to get better. Even if I can just help someone crack a smile, I've done my job. I've gotten really good at using humor, not as a buffer to sadness or retreating from the truth, but it's often a reflection of the truth, and it seems to make people happier. I'm thankful I can be a light in someone else's day. On Wednesday evenings, you won't find me at home. I'll be at the coolest place getting my dance on at Zumba. This is a funny story. 5 years ago, I was looking for a place to work out. I had paid for yearly memberships before and went once in a year. So a gym is not usually a place I commit to. So it was 2 weeks of free classes at a local yoga studio. And what did I have to lose? Well, I signed up for a spin class. Good idea, right? Hell no! About halfway in, I had to get off the bike, leave the studio, and lay on the floor. The room was spinning, and I was thinking, why? Why did I do this to myself? So as I'm laying there trying to stay alive, Will Smith's Getting Jiggy with It is blaring from the other room. I thought to myself, that's where I need to be. I went home, found the class that was going on at the same time as the godforsaken spin class, and the rest is history. Zumba has gotten me through some rough times. The people are amazing, the music is freeing, and just moving your body can release so much stress. Talk about a mood boost in the middle of the week. 5+ years later, I still go, almost religiously, barring a few events of illnesses here and there. But if I happen to miss a stretch, my soul feels it. Find a way to move your body that completely lights you up. There's a way to love moving. You don't have to run a marathon or lift heavy weights, but do something to get out of that chair. So where am I now? In the past week, I can honestly say I haven't worried about my eyes at all. I don't feel pain. I rarely feel dryness. I was missing something for a while and I was having relapses. But in the past week, I've been using my abilities to help heal pain for others. And through that, I believe I'm healing my own. I left conventional medicine pretty early on. I was fed up. Even as I was doing this podcast, I was thinking, I need to go to a new dry eye specialist. Maybe I will someday. But for now, I'm not going to spend thousands on tests and procedures that may work. I'm going to keep healing my spirit, my mind, and my body my own way. Our bodies are amazing. They know how to heal if you support them along the way, not just physical, because we are not just physical beings as much as we look it. Throughout the process, I learned to love myself for who I am now. I've heard people say that the lowest times in their life become the best because it changes you. I can 100% say that I am a different person than I was before my injury. I have a different job, different friends, a different outlook on life, a healthier body, healthy emotions, minimal to no anxiety. I was in a constant state of fight or flight, and I had no idea because that was my normal. My family is now growing in a healthy environment, and we're supporting our bodies and souls. It is truly amazing, and I am so thankful. In general, I have not been a religious person most of my life. Yes, I did go to church, but there were so many hypocrites, and yep, they weren't fooling me. Now I have a good relationship with God because I was led on this path, and I have been led here to speak to you. I was so excited to go into depth about all the things that I have picked up throughout my journey to heal. I'm excited to have guests speak specifically about the eyes, others speak about health and healing, and most excited to speak to others who want to tell their dry eye story. I so much wanted someone to hear my story, understand my story, acknowledge my story, and feel my story. Some family and friends knew my story, but they couldn't really understand because they never had dry eye. I wanted to actually talk to someone with dry eye, and that never happened until now. I'm talking to you, and I want you to know that I would love to listen to your story, hear what works for you, hear what didn't work, how you're doing, how you can help others heal. Dry eye disease can be devastating, but there is so much ability for our bodies to heal if we support it in the right ways. There are so many treatments that I did not pursue because I was not willing to spend thousands of dollars, but I know that a lot of you have. I want to hear about that experience. Part of healing is acknowledging out loud the good, the bad, the ugly, and releasing the energy that has been bottled up for 10 minutes or 10 years. I am hopeful that this podcast and other ways that come up in the future can help you overcome and thrive. When I spoke to Ross, he told me he was looking forward to hearing the second part of my story and told me I needed to end with the question I give to all my dry eye guests. It was a fabulous idea. So, Laura, how has your life improved as a result of dry eye? Well, I am now in control of my life. Before my dry eye disease, I was a human doing. I was doing all the things that is expected of you in society, among your friends, among your family, doing. Now I'm a human being and more. I keep doing the things that I have to, but I've cut out and eliminated things that are toxic and negative to my life so that I can sit in the stillness, reflect on the day, spend quality time with my family, laugh hard, love hard, not allow others to influence my feelings, and bounce back from the bad times by not just bottling up the fear, anxiety, sorrow, frustration, pain, but actually releasing it so that it is not stuck in my body. I'm actually loving life, not just saying it, but feeling it too. My heart is wide open, and I laugh for real, and I love for real. My dry eye has done all that for me. Now, I'm going to ask all of you a question. What is your dry eye going to do for you? Thank you for listening to Miracle in Time. If you would like to explore a theme or know someone perfect for this podcast, please fill out a form on yourlightllc.com/podcast. If you would like to learn more about my services, you can visit the website at yourlightllc.com. I want you to remember that with all life's ups and downs, you are divinely held and guided throughout your journey. Don't miss out on this miracle in time.